Sat Shri Akal. Welcome to Amma Brown Girl. My name's Amma. I'm excited to be back with you for the first episode of season 2. Today I want to get straight into the topic that's both personal and I believe relevant to many of you, which is going no contact. Now, before I go into it, I need to get something off my chest. I've been no contact with my mum for several months now, and honestly, I cannot remember the last time I had an honest, open, drama-free conversation with my mum. This isn't the first time I've gone no contact with her, and the timeframes vary, but each time we talk, it just feels like there's a load of negativity that drags me down. Our relationship has always been complex, but it's gotten to the point where connecting with her feels more painful than it's worth. And I finally made the decision to go no contact with her for the foreseeable future. Now, here's the kicker. This trip was booked months ago, I believe 6 to 8 months. So I knew this was happening. And I was meant to be going with just my dad. I was genuinely excited because it meant that I finally got to spend time with him. I wanted to experience Diwali in India for the first time because Diwali in the UK is fun, but it's not like what it's like in India. And it's always a great opportunity to recharge, reconnect, reevaluate. And the thing with my dad is that I really get on with him on holiday because we did this last year in October as well. And I fell in love with India. I absolutely enjoyed the time that I had with him. And I was like, yeah, I'd really love to do this again with you. And despite the ups and downs of the year, India was the one thing that we had planned together. And it was like, yeah, this is our time. We're going to spend some time together. Anyway, out of nowhere, about a month before we were meant to fly, my mum decides that she wants to join us, which initially I was okay with because I think I hadn't processed it. But the more I slept on it, I just feel more and more annoyed and infuriated. I feel like I've been thrown into a situation that I didn't ask for. And I'm kind of put in a position to be in the same space with her, communicate with her, you know? And when my dad initially asked me, he was like, oh, your mum's thinking of coming. What's your thoughts? The tickets were already booked. And I knew this. He didn't know that I knew that the tickets were already booked. But then he was asking me to see what my reaction was. And I was just like, well, I can't really say anything. Like, you're going to do what you're going to do. So it's up to her, I guess. I'm not going to stop her. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. That was something that was completely out of my control. And if she wants to come, I can't stop her, can I? I kind of find myself questioning everything. Like, what do I say? How should I act? Should I be the bigger person? Or do I protect my peace? It's all very confusing. Going no contact isn't just a decision. It's a spectrum of emotions. There's fear, guilt, relief, sadness. I want to share why I made that decision and how it's affecting me. Especially now with this looming trip that feels like it could unearth a lot of bottled and unresolved emotions and situations. Going deeper into the relationship with my mum, I think it's important to acknowledge the pain that stems from family dynamics. For me, with the relationship I have with my mum, the love is so mixed in with hurt. It's really tough to face that sometimes. And I think family isn't always the safe haven that we hope for it to be. It can sometimes be a battleground. Growing up, I did face a lot of abuse from my mum. It was hard. And I still loved her, but I understood that she had bigger demons to face. Even as a child, I was able to recognize some of her struggles. I have lots of great memories with my mum and I wish her only the best. But over the past few years, especially with me moving out and being queer, our relationship has definitely distanced. She has said some really messed up and hurtful things that I don't think I've ever come back from, and I don't think I ever will. And it hasn't brought out the best of me either. I feel like my mum is able to bring out such an ugly side to me that the only way for me to protect myself was to go no contact. When I go through those ugly moments, it's taken me weeks, months, if not years to recover from the emotional damage. I sometimes think my mum would be better off without me, and I don't mean that in a nasty way, but maybe in another life, my mum got to live freely without the pressure of marriage and kids. Maybe she got to travel the world and date many people. Just the opportunity to live life on her terms. Maybe she wouldn't be so resentful towards me or regret having me. Which, by the way, she's never had a problem expressing that. I think that is also one of the many reasons why I'm not so keen on having kids. And if I ever did have a child, it would be my decision and a very well thought out decision. There's so much mental illness and undiagnosed issues that are thrown into the mix, which only makes it even more complicated. But I know even after years of trying, even as a child trying to fix things, I know it's something that is not my responsibility. I can help someone, I can't heal them, I can't fix them, I can only control myself. I want to invite all of you listening today to think about your own relationships. Have you ever found it necessary to create space from someone you love to heal? That's what I'm learning to navigate now. And I know many of you may be on a similar journey. It's not easy going no contact, but it's important to take care of your mental health as a priority. I know this trip is going to be from my body, my mind, and my soul, but it can also be a twist of fate when it involves those who bring emotional baggage. So what do you think? How do you manage your boundaries when it comes to your family? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences too. And together we can navigate the complexities of our relationships, right from the highs to the lows. How many of you have found yourself battling with these emotions? I know that I'm not alone. When you're caught in this cycle of love and pain, it feels both liberating and terrifying to pull back. Family is supposed to be your support system, right? So why does it feel so painful? Let's talk about how I emotionally prepared for this trip. I've spent hours reflecting, journaling, even speaking to my coach and reaching out to my friends for support. I found that talking it out helps process those conflicting feelings. Yet the question remains, how will I handle this? I have to be honest here. This will be a test for my boundaries. I need to remind myself why I went no contact in the first place. It is crucial for my mental health and just my general well-being. But my fear of confrontation is real, and so is the possibility of old wounds being reopened. Will I be able to hold my ground? What if my mum tries to break those barriers that I've built? The uncertainty is just as heavy as the emotional baggage that we carry. I think for me, what it is, I've spent so long healing myself, and to have the possibility of being around my mum, especially in that close proximity, flying to another country with her, knowing that I'll be in the same room with her, creates so much anxiety for me. I feel worried that it's going to bring me back to a place of the Amma that I was when I was younger and put myself in a position where I'm having to react like I used to. I've worked so hard to come away from that and heal from it. So the fear of being put straight back into that period of my life, because that's who I feel like I am. I feel stuck around her sometimes, that I don't want to be provoked to say something that I wouldn't say now. But at the same time, I trust myself. I know who I am as a person and I'm in control of my emotions. So whatever happens, I know I'll be able to handle it and I'll be able to handle it well. And even if I can't and I do get emotional, I won't be too hard on myself. I know that I'm feeling now and the way that I could feel is absolutely valid. And I will work through that and take every day as it comes. To help ground myself, I've been practicing visualization techniques. Picture this: before we board the plane, I close my eyes and I imagine myself surrounded by calmness. I take a moment to reflect on what I want from this trip. I envision dealing with my mum with confidence and assertiveness, standing firm in my boundaries without the need to cause conflict. I choose to remain in a state of calmness. I also don't want her to feel uncomfortable because, after all, she is coming on holiday. I can't change it, so I won't go out of my way to make sure that she knows that I'm distant, but also just respecting myself enough to respect my own boundaries. So in terms of what's next, I don't really know. Time will only tell. I believe family relationships can be fluid, and relationships in general. They can change and evolve. While I'm unsure with where my relationship will go with my mum after this trip, I do know I have the power to remain firm in my boundaries and not be hard on myself when I feel like I can't. It's about finding the balance between honoring the love that once existed and sometimes still exists, while also protecting my well-being. I'd really appreciate to hear from all of you. Have you ever faced similar challenges with your family? How do you navigate those tricky situations? If you feel comfortable, share your stories on my socials, drop me a DM or drop me a comment. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that going no contact is not a sign of weakness. It's a testament to your strength and your commitment to prioritizing your mental health. We all deserve to feel safe and secure in the relationships we choose to maintain. And having to make that decision of going no contact is not an easy one, but it's also a very brave decision. I think when it comes to my mum, she could change. She could be this perfect mother that I've always dreamt of having. We could have a great relationship. But I think a part of me slightly died on the inside after all the healing that I've done, after all the years that I've spent overcoming the struggles that I went through with her. But sometimes the damage is done and it's too painful to come back from that. I don't know if it could ever be the same. And I wouldn't want it to be the same because I don't want to remain in the same time frame of where we were, that if there was ever a relationship, it would have to be very different. But fundamentally, I think my mum is quite old school and kind of stuck in her ways. And I'd be surprised if she changed as a person. I'm not saying I want to change her as a person because I can't change anyone. I can only change myself. But it'd be very complicated. I think for me, I really have to ask myself, do I really want it? I don't know. I don't think so. If this is how it's to remain, and I'm okay with that decision because I've spent a long time coming to terms with that decision. I hope you were able to learn something from this episode, more about my story, or maybe you were able to relate to it. Whichever one it is, I really appreciate you making it to the end of this episode. In terms of my general check-ins that I love to do at the end of my episodes, I'm doing good. No, I'm actually doing great. I think the last few weeks have been very stressful in terms of having to pack and navigating my emotions, as well as having wedding season. So it's all been everywhere. But I'm a very organized person and I have an Excel spreadsheet of the things I need to do over the next 6 months, which to some people is insane. But for me, with my brain, is the only way I have some sense of stability. And I don't care if you think that's insane, but it works for me and it works for me, okay? But I have been able to stick to my routine. I feel like I take every day as it comes. There have been busy days, but I've made sure to organize the things that I need to do and not overthink it too much. I think in terms of this episode and relating it back, the one thing that I'm really nervous for is the initial meet with my mum. It's a bit like seeing an ex for the first time in years because it's just a bit scary, I guess. It's like, I know I'm going to see her at the airport and it's going to be like, hi, haven't spoken to you in a while, haven't seen you in a while. So I'll see how it goes and I will give you guys an update. In terms of my socials, I'll be posting a lot on Instagram because I'm quite active on my stories. So if you are listening or watching today, I'd really recommend you to just give my Instagram a follow if you want to keep up to date with my stories. I quite like the fact that I don't have to think about posting on my story because it's not my main Instagram. So I'm a little bit more unhinged on there. So that's where you're going to get some of the best content and just me being me. As well as that, I'll be posting on my TikTok as well. So do check that out. Apart from that, that is the end of my episode today. I thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I can't believe it. It's season 2, episode 1. And just like that, we have reached the end of today's episode. I cannot believe it is season 2. I can't believe I've made it to this point and I'm so happy for myself. I'm so grateful for all the people that listen, watch and engage with my content. It means the world to me. I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day. I cannot wait to continue posting a lot more content because there's a lot more content coming. But apart from that, I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Sat Sri Akal. Bye.